Hi, I'm Marcel, and welcome to me screaming into the void with släppa books. I am doing my library challenge. I'm a bit behind on everything due to life, but we are now trying to move on and getting back on track. In January, I had the two prompts, random number and themed display, and I picked one book for each of them. In addition to that, in my library haul, I also had two books that I picked up because they were book club reads. Due to me now having a rule for myself when it comes to these videos that I don't talk about books that are just okay. These two books that were just okay, I'm not going to talk about, at least not to you. I talked about them in book club. But the two books that were for the prompts, I do want to talk a little bit about. And for the prompt, random number, I picked out the book Tante Ulrikes Vei by Shashan Shakar, and this is quite an intriguing book for me to read. I've been wanting to read it for a long time. It's by a Norwegian author, and this Norwegian author is a child by immigrant parents, and this book is one of the first books that talks about growing up in Norway by immigrant parents. So not being an immigrant yourself, but growing up and having immigrant parents. And this book then talks about it by having Jamal and Mo as two boys who grew up in Tante Ulrikes Vei, which is on at what was that point. It's different now, but at that point when this book was set, which is the early 2000s, it was a poor part of Oslo, which is the capital of Norway. And I am so happy to finally have read it. I've sort of been wondering, I should read it because it's such an influential book, just because of its position in Norwegian literature, and turns out is a brilliant book also, which is a very nice thing to have. What I keep forgetting while reading this book, so this book is set in, I think it starts, is it 2001? 2001. So the book is written by these emails where Jamal and Mo are both participants, so they are in their secondary education and is then sending stories about their lives to this researcher. So that's how the book is sort of developed, and then you're sort of switching between these two stories. Both boys are people of color, and both boys are Muslim in the sense that they are part of the Muslim culture, and then it varies based on how religious they are. But that is, of course, one of the things about growing up in a minority and part of a minority. What of my parents' culture am I going to take with me, and in what part? But what is then interesting about especially the timing of it, when I tell you that this is about two Muslim boys, and it starts in July and August of 2001, yes, it will involve September 11, and it will involve the results and Islamophobia that Muslims in Norway experienced due to September 11, and about the war and the conflict that ensued. But it's so more than that. And having been, I was a bit younger than these boys in 2001, but especially Jamal, which is, I'm going to talk a little bit about that because that's probably one of my larger critiques. But you have Jamal and Mo, and Jamal is sort of the lowbrow of them, and Mo is sort of the straight A person of them. And especially Jamal speaks in what we refer to as a sociolect, which is called kebabnorsk, kebab Norwegian. And it is a Norwegian sociolect. It only exists in Norway. And I keep forgetting that that's how we spoke at the time, because reading it now as the old fart that I am, and reading him, I'm just going to read in Norwegian, and it's not going to make any sense, but I just need to do that. Jeg syngte den Bob Marley Buffalo Soldier, og helt ærlig, altså, om ikke jeg hadde drikket, jeg hadde bitcha ut kjapt da. Jeg synger Taz, liksom. But here is a problem with any kind of sociolect, especially sociolects that developed by teenagers. First, teenagers will speak it genuinely, then grown-ups will speak it in, hello kids, I want your interest, isn't it Taz? And then you have the commentary and the mocking and the games and videos and characters that are making fun of this type of speaking. And then you, of course, have the teenagers as grown up laughing at themselves and thinking, boy, were we stupid for speaking like that. So it was a bit weird having gone through, going through all of those sort of points regarding kebabnorsk, reading Jamal speaking it so genuinely. So it's not meant to mock him. That's how they spoke. That's the sociolect. And it's a so specific sort of way of speaking, which is the point of a certain sociolect. So the book came out in 2017, but it's very clearly inspired by Seshan Sakar's own upbringing. And he's said that as well, that this is a part of my own upbringing, and about sort of how he felt being sort of in the middle of all of these aspects, and the aspect of my parents are immigrants, and not just any immigrants, they're refugees. My parents are working class. And my parents are part of a minority religion, and a minority religion that was getting a lot of hate at this time. I know this has been translated. I'll find the English translation and put it somewhere. And if you enjoy the things that I've talked about, and especially talking about it from the sort of male perspective, because this is absolutely a very masculine book in that sense. I can't recommend this high enough. So, wonderful book. And for my theme display, I read Det er lenge til skumring by Taraninga Raja. The reason why this was on the theme display is, of course, because we were going at the end of January, and the 6th of February is the Sami's National Day. So the Sami is the indigenous group in Norway, in addition to Finland, Sweden, and Russia. So this is by a Sami author, and she talks about and this is a book that talks about a time in the not so distant future where the Norwegian have killed off basically all of the Sami population in Norway. And just a few have survived, and they are now taking up arms to create their own Sami country to protect the Sami population. And they, of course, then go to war, not just with the Norwegian society, but afterwards with Russia and Sweden and Finland. And it has maps that where you can see. So this is a part of the book where they're taking all of Russia, and you have this fence against Finland. And it's a quite gruesome book. And I've read a few reviews of the book, and they state sort of like, well, this can't happen. But it's a brilliant written book. And I think that's a bit naive. I don't I'm not Sami, I'm Norwegian. I don't have any plans as the moment to go out and commit genocide, but I'm too much of a pragmatist to say that something like that can never happen, because you never know. But what good literature does, in this sort of sense, is to explore not necessarily could this happen or couldn't it happen, but why does it happen, or how do we react when it happens? So Taraninga is not that interested in the Norwegian perspective. She is not interested in trying to understand why the Norwegian hate the Sami and want to eliminate them. They just do. And that's fine. You don't need sometimes the bad guy is just a bad guy. But what she does really explore with her book in quite graphic details is what the Samis are prepared to do for all causes to survive as a group, to figure out what can we do to not just survive, sort of our bodies survive, but us as a Sami survive, us as a culture survive. And what does it entail for them to actually survive something? And what I mean with it being quite grotesque and detailed, it's a bit, if you've read The Vegetarian, you might understand what I mean, in the sense that she doesn't really describe a lot of gruesome details, but she does describe details very matter-of-factly. So a part of the Sami culture that she talks a lot about is, of course, reindeers, and that the Sami have a lot of reindeer population. That's a huge part of some Sami's culture. And she talks about the culling and the slaughtering and sort of dismantling and using of the different parts of the reindeer, which she does in a very then matter-of-factly, but that some might see as, oh, this is quite a gruesome act. And not necessarily gruesome as in unkind, just gruesome as in, oh, so that's what's going on. There's sort of when we are faced with a lot of the things that we hide behind euphemisms, the same way we say, oh, it's my monthly, rather than saying my uterus is shedding blood. Two different ways of describing the same thing. I don't think this is translated into English as of this moment. I haven't, I've tried to figure out if it's translated. I haven't found it out. If you can read Norwegian, absolutely do. Read it if you are interested in a different perspective of a Sami narrative. And if you want to translate it, then you should go and ask for it. How else would they know that this is one they should translate? If you know, you like gruesome things. So those were the two books I read for the library challenge for January. And for February, I am going to do the challenge random letter and mood at the library. So a book that just catches my fancy while I'm there. So follow me to see what books that will be. And thank you for listening to me screaming it.